Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome, everybody, to Hump Day on the first Wednesday of August on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. Good morning, everybody, on KSFL, KMBN, watching us in South Dakota and all parts in between at Inforum.com. It is the 5th day of August, 2026. So glad you're joining us here on a beautiful, bright and blue Wednesday morning to start our day on a busy sports day, on the day before the day. For those that play high school football in the state of North Dakota, this is it. Last day of respite before it all gets going. In fact, at midnight Mountain Time, 1 a.m. Central, the first high school football practice will be held in the state, on the very border of the state, out in Beach. I'm wearing actually Beach colors today for our guy Mike Zier. We had a little miscommunication. I know we promoted it. We're going to have Coach Zier tomorrow, which is fitting. It's right after the first practice. We want to do that, get some visuals. He's already told me they got something special planned for tonight, and get my favorite either piece of video or photos we've had is the shots on 94 of people that take photos from the highway of the football field being lit up at, in the middle of the night. So that'll be on tomorrow's program as high school football practice officially get going, and then 2 weeks from Friday, we have our first games we played all across the state. So we've officially made it now. If it wasn't the sign that the Bison are going and UND is going, the Dragons have started, the Cobbers start late next week. High school football in North Dakota gets going, and then obviously gets rocking and rolling in Minnesota shortly after that. And then we are really off and going for the fall. We have a lot to unpack here today. Got a heavy baseball show in our second hour. We saluted the Fargo Little Leaguers here yesterday in studio. They leave today for Indianapolis. The big week for Fargo baseball rolls on. Post 2 will open its play at the Central Plains Regional tomorrow. We'll check in with them as they get set to try and make it back to the American Legion World Series. They've got to win 4 games out in Mandan starting tomorrow. Also, we'll head out to California bright and early this morning as the Fargo 13U team is playing tonight. And basically, this is it's not a win-or-go-home game, obviously, because they can still afford to lose one, but put you in the driver's seat kind of game. As they'll play the team from California. They're 2-0, have won both games coming from behind. And tonight, if they win, they move to the semifinal round, which means they would need 2 more victories to win the whole bleeping deal. We'll check in California coming up later on in our second hour of the show. We'll also get back to Bison Fall Camp as they have their first scrimmage set for Saturday, and this is a scheduling reminder. Bison Media Day is coming up on Friday. We will be live up at the indoor practice facility from our normal show from 9 to 11, then a special bonus hour, 11 to noon, streaming-wise at Inforum.com. So we'll have you locked and loaded to get you ready, everything Bison football. If you're not already there, we will certainly have you covered on Friday in anticipation of the 2026 season. That's coming up on Friday morning show. So a lot to get to later on in the week, and much more on our show today in regards to that. We will begin our program, though, today with the Minnesota Twins, who continue to amplify exactly what they are, a 500 baseball team, where they can go and win 4 games in a row, which they did last week, and then go and fall flat on their face and lose 3 games in a row, which they've done this week. And that's the roller coaster ride that this is going to be between now and the end of September. I will say this, though. if they continue to get starting pitching like they have over the last 3 games, this ain't going to be any kind of race to begin with at all. Because if Joe Ryan and Taj Bradley, who've been their horses all year long, have been 1A and 1B for them, if they can't win games, then it's going to be awfully hard for them to stay in the race. Joe Ryan was going last night, and we know as last start, was not great against Randy Dobnak. After a 10-day layoff, Dobnak outdueled him. It was the rematch last night in Kansas City where they honored the great Salvador Perez, who became the Royals' all-time home run leader over the weekend. It's a 1-0 Kansas City lead, bottom of 1 already on Joe Ryan, where they get to him on this hit from Michael Massey that's going to drive in the second run of the game. As Jack Caglione scores. You see, there's not the usual zip from the Ryan pitches that we're used to. It's 2-0 Kansas City after 1. Same score in the 4th. The Twins finally get on the board. I am just not thrilled to show sac fly highlights, but Alan Roden will get one here as Cody Clemens would score on the error. It's 2-1 KC. This guy's back, and that's not good. Bobby Witt Jr., first game back after being hurt. Remember, he didn't play last week. Laces this one down the left field line. Carter Jensen would come in and score. It's a 2-run double for Witt. It's 4-1 Kansas City. They're not done. Caglione grounds. This is another Royce Lewis adventure at first base. So remember what happened on Saturday. Lewis's throw is nowhere near what it needs to be. Witt scores. It's 5-1. Josh Bell would get the Twins 1 run closer here in the top of the 8th with a bomb to center, a 417-foot shot. That made it 5-2. Taylor Rogers comes in, bottom of the 8th. Former Met great Starlin Marte is up at the plate. He would hammer this to left center. That's going to score 2 more runs. That revamped Twins bullpen didn't even get a chance last night because Joe Ryan didn't make it out of the 6th inning. That made it 7-2. Royals would tack on 1 more. Jeffers would ground out for the final out of the game. Royals win it 8-2, take the opening game of this set. Minnesota's now lost 3 games in a row. Joe Ryan goes 5 1/3, allows 7 hits, 5 runs. 4 of them earned and struck out only 3. Just another substandard start from the Twins ace, who drops to 6-8 on the season. His game log, let's just go back now. Prior to the All-Star game, right? His 2 starts he had before the All-Star break. 7 innings against the Yankees was great. Struck out 9. I was at his last start before the All-Star break at Target Field in person against the Angels. Went 6 innings, allowed 6 hits, 2 runs, struck out 6. He was really good. Pitched the All-Star game, 1 inning there, but then since 4 innings, 10 hits, 8 runs against Cleveland. 6 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs against Kansas City. And then last night, 5 1/3, 7 hits, 5 runs, again against the Royals. And if you're going to do that, you're not going to win many games with your ace. So the Twins are now 4 games back of the White Sox. They got some help last night. Everybody lost in front of them. Chicago and Cleveland both lost, thanks to the Mets for beating the Guardians last night. Rare win for New York. So the Twins remain 4 games back in the American League Central race. The wild card is where you're going to have to watch things, because now it's starting to tighten up, because teams we thought that may be out of it are suddenly very much alive. The Guardians hold the last spot, a game ahead of Minnesota, and here comes Texas, here comes Baltimore, here comes Detroit, here comes Seattle. The Tigers, by the way, after trading Skubal, have won 4 in a row. Twins are going the wrong way. Rangers won yesterday. The Orioles, who we thought were sellers, they've won. I'm looking at their last 10 games of everybody on this graphic, just the wild card, right? Yankees are 5-5. Red Sox are hot as a pistol here, 8-2. They've won 6 in a row. Guardians are 3-7. Twins are 5-5, exactly what we thought they were. Rangers are 3-7. Orioles 5-5. Tigers 6-4. Mariners 4-6. And on the very outside, I'll give the Blue Jays, who are 4 games back at 6-4. What's the common thread with all those teams? They're very average. It's just the entire American League this whole season, no one has been able to separate themselves on being a contender. We know the Rays are good. The White Sox we think are okay. The Astros were bad for a bit, and now they've gotten together, though the American League West is trash. Frankly, the American League only has, you see those three teams, the division leaders. You've got the Yankees and Boston. That's it. There's 5 teams above 500. Last time I checked, there are 15 teams in the American League. That's not a great ratio. So if you're a Twins fan, just get around 500. Keep doing what you're doing, right? So see if they win tonight in Game 2 against the Royals. And by the way, scheduling, though, their game on Thursday, tomorrow night, is an ESPN game. It's one of those, ESPN's baseball schedule this year has been so random, but they have picked up that game. So for those wondering, tomorrow night's game at Kauffman will be on ESPN. Just another head-scratching night from the Twins ace against the Royals. One last thing I want to get to here before we get off and rolling. Yesterday, the Minnesota State High School League made some news with its annual late summer meeting. And a couple of byproducts on this. One is we're going to find out relatively soon on section placement and class placement for schools in regards to football in the not-too-distant future, which is earlier than normal. Typically that comes out in October. From what the State High School League said yesterday, that we're going to find that out sooner than later. Actually, it'll be on Thursday. That's the day, according to the Star Tribune, that schools will receive the latest enrollment rankings, which jumpstart the reclassification process for 27-28 and 28-29. We remember that's what happened with the Spuds. Moorhead moved up to 6A. They're not, I can tell you this, they're not going down. Moorhead's enrollment is not going anywhere but up. So the Spuds are going to stay in 6A for football. But there might be some other fluctuations on that. And that's something we'll keep our eyes out when it comes out tomorrow. We were waiting to hear on the future of the state basketball tournaments for this upcoming year. Let's set the background on this for those that don't know. So this upcoming March, the first and second rounds of the men's NCAA basketball tournament will be played. One of the regions will be at Target Center in Minneapolis. A couple years ago, remember we did the story that the NCAA picked Target Center to host first and second round games in that late March window. I think it's March 18th, for this upcoming basketball tournament. Also, the University of Minnesota has set aside Williams Arena for the Golden Gopher women to host the first and second round of the women's basketball tournament, much like they did this past March, where they won both games and got to the Sweet 16, which, of course, is on the same time that the men's tournament is. So already, the two top basketball venues in the Twin Cities are unavailable. So it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out, okay, the same time that the basketball tournaments are going on collegiately is when the state basketball tournaments are going to be held. The girls go right during the first round of the NCAA tournament, and the boys is the week after. Well, there were different ideas that were bandied about. Some said, well, can we play at the Pavilion, which is not going to happen because the NCAA just gobbles up everything. So they weren't going to. The Pavilion's not a good basketball area. That's, of course, the volleyball venue that's attached right to Mariucci. Or the Williams, sorry, that doesn't work. XL Energy Center was brought up, or whatever, Grand Casino Arena. That's not going to work because the Wild are playing. And the Wild have already been on the road for a month because of the state hockey tournaments and wrestling that are contested at their building. I heard St. Thomas's new arena was brought up. And I'm not sure how much they went down the road on that in terms of the high school league. Considering the size may be ideal. Certainly for the girls probably would work. I know they kicked the tires at least a little bit on that, but decided not to go that route. What they did decide was just to delay it. And I'm not sure how well that's going to go over because, quick backstory, this past year they did that with the boys tournament because Williams Arena wasn't going to be available because the women's basketball team from the University of Minnesota was playing. So I remember we televised the 8AA championship that gosh, my brain's mush now. I think Perham won. And then had 2 weeks off before they played at the state tournament, which I don't think anybody was thrilled about. And now it's going to happen on both the girls and the boys' side. Now, the schedules aren't set yet, but what we've been told is that the season's going to start on time, and then the section tournament's going to be held in its usual time, and then you're going to have 2 weeks off before the state basketball tournament. So here are the dates. The girls' state tournament will run March 24th through the 27th. That will be at Williams Arena. That entire tournament. That's a Wednesday through a Saturday, which is right before Easter, if I'm correct on that, this year, which may affect some families that either have vacations or anything planned on that. That's when the state basketball tournament is going to go. Boys basketball will be the following week. This is late. March 31st will be the start date through April the 3rd, and they'll use both Williams Arena and Target Center for the boys basketball tournament. The MSHL has approved its full 26-27 activity schedule on April the 7th, with the boys basketball state tournament in a familiar position on March 24th through the 27th, 1 week after the girls. So obviously they had to move that with knowing that the Gophers wanted Williams Arena and Target Center's not available because of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. This is a quote from the State High School League. Phil Archer, who oversees boys basketball, says, quote, "I thought our boys coaches and athletic directors did a really good job last year of adapting to that and utilizing that extra time between the end of the section tournament and the start of the state tournament. And I anticipate both boys and girls coaches will do a good job again this year with it." I am conflicted on this. A, can we not just move the start of the season later? Because I think there's some football coaches that wouldn't mind, or basketball coaches, obviously, who have their football seasons, if they're ultra successful there, to have their basketball players maybe get a week or two ready before football or basketball starts. And I know you're going to say, well, wait a minute, what about the spring sports? And you already know where I'm at on that. And frankly, Minnesota already does it right because their spring sports season goes longer than North Dakota does. As it is, it's going to be late. That is early April. I can remember the only other time was 2021, and that was the COVID year where we had, I think the boys state basketball tournament was played in the middle of April that year, early April of 2021. That was different. They broke that up, obviously, because of restrictions they had there. So the basketball seasons will go later in the state of Minnesota for this upcoming year. We have a packed guest lineup here on this Hump Day Wednesday, which is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Our guy Drew Trafton is waiting in the wings. We'll talk with Drew. Big soccer newsy week in regards to the U.S. men's national team, including them coming up this way. We'll chat with Drew about that in just a few minutes. At 9:35, my conversation with Bison sophomore tight end Reis Kessel out of Fargo South High School after he burst on the scene last year with a really impressive redshirt freshman year. He is certainly known in 2026 moving up to the Mountain West Conference. We'll talk about that. And obviously his younger brother Drew's decision to join him at NDSU for next year. That's coming up at 9:35. As I mentioned, a big baseball hour in our second hour. Hans Anderson will join us from California at 10 o'clock. His Fargo U13 team will play tonight in the Intermediate World Series. They win that, they move to the semifinals of the World Series. That's at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, Luke Rustad will join us from Fargo Post 2, delaying him coaching football again at Shanley because his day job at Fargo Post 2 will take him to the Central Plains Regional for the first time in a few years. Post 2 opens tomorrow out in Mandan. We'll chat on the thrilling walk-off win they had over West Fargo on Saturday and the stud team they have. Boy, there are some dudes playing baseball right now. We'll do that at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Wednesday morning. We'll take our first break. We come back. The U.S. men's national team is coming back to the upper Midwest. Details on U.S. soccer playing at Allianz Field. That much more when Hot Mike returns after this.
the biggest Seahawks, Sounders, and Mariners fan in the FM area. It's time for Views with Drew.
There he is. Drew Trafton joins us each and every Wednesday at 9:20. Good morning, my man. How we doing?
Good morning. Doing well.
Dunking on Twins fans after the Mariners took 2 of 3.
Well, then the Mariners
kept their hopes alive, at least for a minute, right?
Bit. Last night they laid an egg. They lost 8-0 to Detroit.
But here's the thing, and I said this in the first segment. I don't know if you caught this, that in the American League, everybody's so piss poor that the Mariners are in it still.
Yeah, they're 3.5 games back of the West, and they're 4 games under 500.
Right.
Like it's just like
you get hot, man, you can win the thing.
Yeah,
right.
Well, that's so. Like I was having that conversation with my dad yesterday. I was like, well, if Cal Raleigh gets hot, if Julio Rodriguez gets hot, if Josh Naylor gets hot,
it's bound to happen. Like
it could.
Watching this weekend, I had no idea how bad Raleigh had been this year.
Yeah,
his numbers are, and Corey Provis talked to us a little bit on Friday, and I looked like, wow.
Yeah. He had
an
injury.
Precipitous drop off, right?
Like kind of early on, and just never got it together.
Yeah.
But I think it's a confidence issue now, like at the plate, and that's been really tough.
After you have a year like that, though, how much it physically takes out of you playing that position. It's not like he plays left field; he's a catcher. It certainly looks like it's come back around this year.
Yeah, and then he played in the World Baseball Classic too. You know, like I mean, there's so many miles on your body that you have to account for at some point.
I thought we were done with the soccer conversation, but we're not. We got some soccer news to share this week. So that's all right. Well, it's local, though, because the U.S. men's national team is coming back to St. Paul, which, frankly, I thought they should have been here to begin with in the World Cup. I thought U.S. Bank would have been perfect, but that's a whole other deal.
Yep.
But Allianz Field's going to host their first I don't know. Is it their first match? Is it their first match since the World Cup, or no? Will they play another one before that?
Yeah, no, I think it might be their first.
So it's a friendly with Canada. Coming up here in October.
Like if there's some bad blood between those two teams.
Well, the head coach of the Canadians, what's his backstory?
Jesse Marsh. Yeah, he was a U.S. men's national team player, and he been
loves
very
riling it up, right?
Loves to rile it up, and that federation, the Canadian Soccer Federation's been embroiled in some New England Patriots style scandals, and
that's right,
spying and things like that, and there's just bad blood there, and so it'd be a fun one to go to. You might not get to see like the top echelon players because that's like right at the opening window of like the European leagues, like their schedule when they're starting to get into competition. But
like Champions League stuff is going, that kind of thing?
Okay. And like, Serie A is starting and Premier's
going.
Like, a month or two in. But, you'll still get like that sense, I think, of a rivalry. And that's an incredible venue to watch a soccer game.
That's all I've heard. I've driven past it. I've not been in it. That's the only venue I have not been to in the Twin Cities.
It's so great. It's such a great spot to watch a game. And they just do it right. It's a really good place to go.
So they announced actually a bunch of other matches. They're going to host Peru, Chile, and Mexico as well. They'll play Peru on September the 26th in Orlando, then Chile 3 days later in St. Louis. Then they play Mexico on October the 3rd in Glendale. It's the home of the Cardinals. That's a big stadium, but that makes sense when you're playing Mexico. And then they play the Canadians on October the 6th. The other news is Mauricio Pochettino is coming back.
Huge news.
So let me ask you this, because for people that only watched the World Cup and didn't know anything about soccer until in June, he got the job, what they say, in the middle of the quote-unquote cycle.
Yes.
Because they fired the previous coach, and that was a whole cluster, you know what?
Yeah.
So Pochettino came in 2024, right?
Yes.
So we're literally, and granted, the United States didn't have to qualify for this one. So this is a whole other, bag of chips for this one for 2030.
Absolutely, yeah. So I would just look at it simply as this last World Cup cycle, every decision he was making was reactive. And we get this. He did this press conference or an interview right after he signed this new deal, and I was wasn't really sure what to think. Okay, well, what does this mean? And he went into that interview, and I loved what he had to say. He talked about how this is a new opportunity, and they're going to approach it completely differently. And you might be thinking, well, hey, they had a measurable amount of success, quantifiable, when you could point to 3 group stage wins, a knockout round win.
Yeah.
That's not nothing.
He already has the most wins of any U.S. men's national team coach.
But he's approaching it from saying, like, we're going to look at this from the 16 and this is like almost a direct quote, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds perspective, like where those guys in our system He goes, we need to look at them because they're going to be contributing to this next World
Right.
Cup. And I think that's exciting. You know, where he's looking at that, and he talked about he invoked the names of Spain and Argentina, saying if we want to be Spain and Argentina, this is how we need to start looking at this program. And it was like, okay, like, because forever everybody's been talking about these fundamental changes that need to take place within the U.S. Soccer Federation in order for us to have that level of success. And it's not like the U.S., and you know, I beat this drum constantly on the show, isn't successful in soccer. It's just that I think the American culture with soccer is if you're not winning a World Cup, you know, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
You know,
Yep.
and he
Yep.
and I wasn't really sure where his mindset was on that, but after that interview, it's like, oh no, he gets it. He gets that is the expectation, that we are
Yeah.
a perennial contender, and he needs to build us into that.
I think for me, I'm not in that mindset, but we got to get further than where we have.
Sure.
We got to get to the last 8. Beyond that,
yes.
then it's gravy.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and it takes, like, we don't know what it takes to get, you know,
Beyond that,
Beyond
yeah,
that.
right.
And so it's like that but we need to discover what
Yes.
it takes to get
Yes.
there. And this is a really good step in that direction.
One last thing on this before we move on. Does that mean a host of the guys we got to know for this past team are likely not going to be on the team in 2030?
Yeah, I would think that, you know, maybe 6 or 7 of them will be on this next group or this next team, and that's not because they didn't perform well or, you know,
Some are just
it's
old?
It's just that's how soccer works.
Yeah.
Like, you usually only get like one World Cup cycle.
Okay.
It's very rare for like a player like Christian Pulisic who's played in 3.
Yeah.
You know, like that's really rare
Right.
to see for any
Well, like
federation.
Tim Howard, how many did Tim Howard play in? 3? Did Tim
I think
Howard?
2.
2, because
Yeah,
we
he
missed the
played in
18
2.
one.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a young man's game.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw with Yamal, and you saw, you know, like, I mean,
Right.
Messi's like an
Oh, yeah,
absolute, you know, just like, you know,
A unicorn in every
unicorn. Yes.
every sense of the
Yeah.
imagination there. One quick football thing before we got to roll here. I've seen different projections on the potential who will win the Peyton. I've
Okay.
seen 2 on there that have Ayat and
Yeah.
Gilman both as potential favorites to win it out of Montana for this upcoming year.
I mean, they're both on the watch list for sure,
which
right?
they should be.
But here's the thing with Montana that I'm just like, it's the biggest question mark on the team is they're replacing all 5 starters on the
That's
offensive
a big
line.
deal. Yep.
You know, and so it's like, yes,
And a new coach, by the way, as well.
Ayat led the FCS in passing yards
Yeah.
last year. He threw 30 touchdowns, but it's like, what does that look like this year? Or, you know, can Gilman run for, you know, have a 1,200 yard season, 1,300
Right.
yard season behind these guys? We just don't know.
Yeah.
And like, they're so inexperienced. I think the guy with the most snaps taken, who's in the running to be a starter, is taking like 140 or something like that. It's like, it's insanely low. So that's my big question mark with that whole team. You know, is
Totally.
like, that's, you know, it's the offensive line, it's the receiving room, it's the secondary on the defense. It's like, where do you know, how does that work? And so, yeah, I mean, they could be, like, if they can play competently as a line and gel, Ayat should
Yeah.
be considered on you know, that Peyton short list for
Is
sure.
this preposterous to say they only have 3 hard games this year, Montana?
Yeah.
Oregon State, Davis, and Montana State.
Yeah, I mean, every time I
Right?
look at the schedule, I'm like,
I'm looking at it again because I'm like, I know the first 3 are Cream Puff
Yeah.
City, and it is.
Yeah.
It's Southern Utah,
Yeah.
Drake, and Utah Tech.
if they lose those, we're in.
Oh,
we're in
right?
one of them.
That's what I was saying about UND.
You're in
UND's
trouble.
in the same boat as well.
Yeah.
UND's first 7, I mean, we're talking the likes of Long Island, Portland State, St. Thomas, Murray,
Yeah.
Northern Iowa,
Teams
Indiana
you
State.
absolutely have to.
You got to be
crush.
6-1.
Yeah. Yes.
They have Nebraska, and I'm not sure how good Nebraska
Yeah,
is. I mean, it's a challenge, but
Right.
they got to play against the Huskers. And
I'm
Montana's
looking at-
game is Oregon State. They're not world beaters.
They were 2-10 last
Right.
year, right? So it's like, okay, so if they're playing well, if that offensive line's playing well, that game might
Yeah.
be easier than
Totally,
Davis.
totally.
You know, like, it could be. And Montana State's the last game of the year.
Right.
You know,
Right.
who knows what's going to happen
Correct.
between, you know, now and then. So it's like that could be. I'm not sure. Like, I'm not. Every time I look at that schedule, I see 10-2. Like that's just
Yeah.
the projection that's popping in
Yeah.
my head. And I'm not sure they're losing to Oregon State.
Who's the second loss then? If
I
you
think
say
it's
Montana
either,
State.
I think it's either Davis. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
counting Montana
Okay.
State. They look like such a juggernaut. The
They
more I
look-
look
they're
at
the
that
team to beat.
Like
they're a unanimous number one. That hasn't happened since the Jacks team of 23 when they were the best team.
And the more I look at that team, the more I'm just like, I don't like who's beating these guys.
Nope.
You know, I mean, we talked about SDSU last week. I think the more I look at them, the more I'm like, they could be really good, but I just don't, because I think Montana is a top 5 team, but I don't know how good they're going to be. You know, when it comes to like historical context of the FCS, like, is this a year where it's like 23, where it was like everyone's playing for?
We
second?
already knew the Jackrabbits were way far ahead of everybody else.
It was like
who
gets to lose to them in the championship is,
Correct.
you know, the consolation prize.
By the way, is there any Grizz that can come back with this judge order?
No.
Same with the Bison.
Yeah.
NDSU, there's no football players that can come back. Is there any Grizz that can pop back? Okay.
Yeah, it's so weird because I was like, when I saw that, like that was where my mind went immediately. I'm like, okay, who do we get to, you know, like to bring back potentially? That's such a mentally taxing thing to consider, though.
Tell me
for
about
those
it.
guys.
Trying to explain this every day on this show, man. It's
that's just like that's
bash your
so
head against a
tough.
wall. It's crazy. Great to see you. Thanks for coming by as always. All right.
Yeah, thanks for
Drew
having me.
Trafton joins us each and every Wednesday at 9:20. We'll break. We come back. The pride of Fargo South joins us. Reis Kessel on a breakout 2025 and what to expect this year. That's coming up when we return after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Rolling on here on a Hump Day Wednesday edition of our show. Bison will have mark a week today in fall camp. It's interesting to see around the country different social media accounts saying it's day one, here we go. Well, for teams that are playing in the traditional week one on Labor Day weekend, today is the first day of fall camp. But for those, because the FCS we know has moved up the start of the season, so they've been going for a week. And for the select FBS teams like North Dakota State and Jacksonville State and Hawaii and Stanford and San Jose State, USC, North Carolina, most infamously because they're playing over in Ireland, TCU, they've been going for a week because they play in week 0. So today marks a week of Bison Fall Camp. North Dakota State has a scrimmage set for Saturday. And, you know, we talk frequently on wide receiver and the lack of experience at that position with the graduations of Bryce Lance and Chris Harris and Raja Nelson and what's going to happen at that spot. And they've obviously added 3 transfers there that all have looked impressive. But you consistently overlook that he plays a different position, but he's a receiver, and that's Reis Kessel. And tight end had a makeover as well. Tight end, you remember that the most 2 experienced guys, Carson Williams and Finn Diggins, both graduated. And now it is Kessel's time to be the man at tight end for this upcoming season. I visited with him on Monday up at Bison Fall Camp to talk about his leadership role, more expanded role in 2026. But first we talk about his younger brother, Drew, about him committing to NDSU back in June.
Yeah, him and my parents told me, like, right when he came over here and committed, he came to the facility, told the coaches. I think they got a little lunch at Ribfest over here. Yep. And I kind of knew it was going to happen like a day before he did it, but it was an awesome moment for sure. To be able to play with him, it's going to be crazy. So,
how much has that been discussed between the two of you, of a chance to do that?
Not really. Larson was getting on my butt the other days. He told me I got to start teaching him the playbook and stuff and get him ready, because I think he might early enroll. I'm not sure, but we'll see about that. But yeah, it's been awesome though.
When I talked to him, Reis, I didn't know that he was going to play at Moorhead. I mean, describe that, how big a deal that is for a chance to play now in 6A football with the level of competition that's coming their way this season.
Yeah, for sure. Went from 2A to 6A. It's going to be a big jump, but I think he's definitely ready for it. And I'm excited to watch the team, see how they do, maybe get to some of the games, the home games. I won't be able to make it in the away games, obviously. They're all in the cities, but it's going to be awesome. I'm excited to watch.
How much did you two, I mean, you're working out here. Did you have a chance to work out with him at all this summer?
No, honestly, not really. I think on our summer break, like before we came here for summer workouts, we did a little like my older brother played quarterback at Concordia, so he came in here and he threw to us, so that was fun. That's about all we did though.
Describe for you how different this feels compared to this time last year after the role you had and now obviously larger expectations expected upon you this season.
Yeah, last year I came in here not knowing how much I was going to play. I ended up playing quite a bit, but I didn't really know. And this year I'm kind of expected to be the guy for the tight end room, the chief room. So it's awesome. I mean, high expectations, but I'm ready for it. I mean, I feel like I'm the most physically and mentally mature I've ever been. So I'm ready for the challenge for sure. I'm excited.
How much does that experience help your confidence level for this season?
Oh, for sure, a lot. I mean, as much as I played last year, I mean, I'm not going into week one anymore thinking, like, not knowing what I'm doing, like, nervous. But, so yeah, I'm excited for that.
Your ability to get up and catch the ball, especially in the red zone, how much is that an ability that you guys want to exploit this season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm up to 245 now. So, I mean, however the coaches want to use me, but I know that we're going to be putting in packages and stuff for, especially not just me, but the whole crew chief, the whole tight end room. We've got a lot of guys who have size and a lot of guys who can go make plays. So I'm excited to see how the coaches use us and how that all plays out.
How different is it, Reis, to catch a ball from Nathan as opposed to Cole, outside of the fact it's coming from a different hand?
Not much difference. They're both great quarterbacks. Nathan has a ton of zip on it. I'll say that for sure. But honestly, not much difference. But yeah, last year it took him getting used to get used to a lefty quarterback. But that's about it. Yeah, they're both great quarterbacks, and Nathan's my guy, and I'm really excited to see the connection between us two this season. So
it's a week into fall camp. Tell me about how offensively things have gone, and just always seems like the defense is ahead of the offense. Will you describe the first week?
Yeah, Coach P's been stressing that he wants this fall camp to be the most physical that we've ever seen in Bison history, and I think we've really come to see that. It's been super physical. The fur's been flying, and the guys have just overall been having a great time, and we're excited to play the rest of this fall camp out.
I ask you, going back to being looked upon as the guy in the tight end room, you're only a third-year sophomore. How does that leadership role fit you, despite the fact you're only a sophomore?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's weird being described as a vet now. Like, just last year, I was just a second-year guy, and it's pretty crazy. I don't feel that old, though. But, yeah, it's more of a leadership role and helping the young guys out. That's kind of been a role that I've taken over. We've got a lot of really good young talent in this chief room that's coming up. All the freshmen, Gabe Cunningham, he's going to be a part of our offense this year. So really just going and helping those guys out, whatever they need with the playbook, mentally, whatever questions they have for me, I just want to be there for them and help out my teammates the best I can.
I know I asked you this back in spring ball, but you're not going to sneak up on anybody. People are going to know where 81 is on the field. How do you adjust for that for this upcoming season?
Yeah, they're going to know me unlike last year, obviously, going in being kind of a nobody. So I'm just going to have to read the defenses better. That's something get into the film room. I'm going to have to figure out what the defense is doing instead of just running my route. So.
You mentioned you're up 245. Are you still as fast as you were?
Yeah, my top speed is still up there in the 20-21 mark. So that's something I've really realized is all this weight I've put on since coming in at about 220. I feel like I've really kept my speed. So, and that's something my strength coach Knapp has been stressing as well. That however heavy I get, I need to keep my speed. So if I get up to whatever 250, 255, and I started losing it, it might bring me back down a little, put me on a weight cut plan. But yeah, it's been awesome though. I'm excited to use that speed.
I asked Babbitt this: what goes into gaining weight? Are you just eating everything you see?
Yeah, just really eat whatever. I mean, the coaches will make sure that you have a granola bar, a yogurt, a snack in your hand at all times during meetings throughout the day. If you're on that weight gain plan. So
I have to, last thing is just on expectations for yourself. I know obviously you want the team to do well. What about you? Did you have any set expectations for fall camp? I want to do blank when we're ready for the season opener.
I wouldn't say really expectations. I really just want to go out here and execute fully what the coaches put me in there to do, whether that's blocking, whether that's going out to catch a pass. Whatever I can do to obviously help the team win at the end of the day is what I want to put out there and do my best at. So
to hear his weight now be up to where it's at and still be as fast as he is, that's scary. He's up to 245. Last year, when I was asking on, some names to watch, and Polisic, without a hesitation, told me Kessel. Kessel's one of the fastest guys on the team. I'm like, really? And he's added 20 pounds of muscle onto that frame now. Because you see those highlights from last season when he's getting away from guys and running away from guys. Again, he's deceptively quicker than you would think. But he's leaner in that video. Just watching him in the first few days of camp that we've had access to, you can see the body transformation that's happened from the end of last year to where we're at now to start the upcoming 2026 season. And he mentioned another name you're going to want to know at tight end. That's Gabe Cunningham, young man out of St. Louis who redshirted last season, that has almost a similar frame, some outstanding hands, that they're going to use them. That's, if wide receiver might be rife with inexperience, and it has a bit. I mean, Jackson Williams has played primarily special teams, but he's dabbled at wide receiver. He's going to play way more wide receiver this year. Mekhi Collins, you heard from already. Those are the most experienced guys you have. You've added 3 transfers. You've got a smattering of redshirt freshmen that have played, but not a ton. That tight end seems to be a spot. Now, if you look experience-wise, I think they have 3 combined catches at tight end on the roster. Caden Zenzen has 2, and I think Jet Zabel has 1. And Zabel's hurt right now with a broken toe. That's it at the tight end position. No one else has a catch. Now, they might be able to block, but that's a position that Polisic's been screaming they want to get more production out of. Joe Stuffle had some in 2024. Kessel had a bit more in 2025. He had a reception in 12 of the 13 games last year. It'd be really intrigued to see what they're going to do with him this year. And like I mentioned to him, and he said it, he wasn't a nobody, but we didn't know what he could do. He hadn't played a game yet prior to the start of last season. He burst on the scene, the Citadel, that very first game with a big catch down the sideline and didn't stop for the touchdown he had against South Dakota a season ago. They're going to know where he is on the field. Just that's what defenses are going to be watching. Teams are going to be watching North Dakota State tape, and they're going to see 81 stretching it down the middle of the field like he did against Southern Illinois. That's going to be something that they're going to try and stop for this upcoming year. Good stuff there. As I mentioned, we'll be live up at Bison Media Day coming up on Friday with a bunch more of NDSU football coverage. Let's break. Come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. We got a big baseball hour coming up in hour 2 on this first Wednesday in August. Hot Mic rolls on. We're back on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Our thanks to Reis Kessel for some good stuff there. So here we go with the next step for the Protect College Sports Act. Majority Leader, the senior senator from South Dakota, John Thune, has filed cloture on the motion to proceed. This is the first of several steps in beginning the process for a full vote on the act that could drag on several days and into the weekend. So again, I'm not the parliamentarian, but I'm trying to explain to you how this works for Congress. This is the first thing they have to do before they can actually get it onto the Senate floor and then vote on it. So here we go. I mean, there's some wild provisions in here, including the enforcing that the national championship game will be played no later than January the 8th. I have no idea how they are going to enforce that because there's no way that's going to happen. It just isn't. I think we're all of the mindset, the schedule needs to be changed, considering this year's title game is on January 25th, but I don't think anyone is of the notion that we're somehow going to move it up that early. Also part of that is the exclusivity of the Army-Navy game as the only FBS game we played in that specific time window. I know we talked about this when the president put in an executive order on it, whatever it was, in the fall, to protect Army-Navy. That is only for FBS games. So, because the FCS playoffs have traditionally been playing when Army-Navy go, as we're well aware of that will not affect the playing of those games. It's just for FBS games. So however they're going to decide the calendar, that's not going to they'll have to work around that specific time frame, whatever it is, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time is usually when Army-Navy, 1:30 on that second Saturday in December is when Army-Navy gets going. That will be upheld according to the Protect College Sports Act, one of many provisions in there, which includes just a one-time free transfer. After that, you have to sit out a year. That's part of it. That leagues are capped, the Super Leagues are capped at 19 teams. The Big Ten, the SEC, ACC, and the Big 12. If you leave for another power conference, you have to be an independent for 5 years. There's some doozies in there that they're trying can't. What is it? Coach can't be hired mid-season. All of that. Portal window will look different. I don't know how they enforce that one. But now this is the first step of it trying to become the law of the land. I believe they have, from everything that I have read on this, that they have the votes to make it happen in the Senate. In the House is another story. We'll see. That's going to be something to watch here. I know everyone's excited, and me most especially. I'm not talking about the actual games. All this stuff off the field has just been exhausting, and you want to bash your head in. But it's important to the future of the sport, not just football. This is all sports under this umbrella, that you got to pay attention to it, whether you like it or not. And certainly, I'm Cloucher was not anything I ever thought I would bring up. I learned about it in social studies. I certainly learned about it in American history, in my AP government history. I didn't think ever we'd be talking about it on this program, ever. So, tip of the cap to my 10th grade social studies teacher, because he won that one, because I never thought that would be something we discuss here. All right, let's break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. We're heading out west to California. The Fargo 13U intermediate baseball team 2 wins away from playing for a championship. Hans Anderson will join us when Hot Mike returns after this.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll here on this Hump Day Wednesday. I mentioned on Monday's show how big a week it is for Fargo baseball. We'll chat later on. Fargo Post 2 is playing in the Central Plains Regional. That starts tomorrow out in Mandan as they try to get to the American Legion World Series. Yesterday in studio, we had the Fargo Little League head coaches. They're on a bus now for Whitestown, Indiana, and start their quest for the Little League World Series, which is in Williamsport, obviously at the end of the month. And currently, the Intermediate World Series is happening out in California, and Fargo is represented there. Their 13U team has won its first 2 games, and they play tonight against the host from Livermore, California. Their head coach is Hans Anderson, Fargo Davies head coach. We've had him on plenty, and he joins us. Last year was Indiana. This year it's California. You're a world traveler.
Yeah, it's pretty nice getting the frequent flyer miles and everything, getting to see the world a little bit.
Congratulations on 2 great wins. Tell us about what the experience has been like here over the last couple days.
It's been a blast. Kids are having a great time. We're playing good competition. They're meeting people from all over the world. We're in the same hotel as all these other kids, so they're playing ping pong and air hockey and having breakfast and meals together. So it's a blast. We always say it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but we kind of said that last year. We had a once-in-a-lifetime. Now we get a real shot at it. So, but yeah, it's a great experience for these kids. And I'm not going to lie, for us adults who get to tag along and ride their coattails, it's just as fun.
All right, Hans, give us the lowdown on this age bracket. Because I've had people ask me, so is this Babe Ruth? Is this Little League? Could you explain it for people at home what exactly your age bracket is in this tournament?
Yeah, so it's Little League. It's 13U. It's just like last year. You had to be 12 years old. You can't be anything older than 13. And then it's not as many teams worldwide play 13U, but there's still a ton of teams that do it. Of course, it's only about 12 to 15 years old, this intermediate level, from my understanding of what I've learned. And then we play at a 50-70 distance, so 50 pitching and 70 distance on the bases. So a lot of kids are kind of used to this distance with travel baseball and stuff. especially coming through 12U. It's a little shorter than we're used to at 13 because we play more 54-80, but it's still fun, and that ball comes at you quick. So
I've seen that in some of the games so far. The ball gets on the infielders awfully quick. And the other difference is you play 7 innings instead of 6, correct?
Correct, yeah. So that's a one added inning from last year, and now it's more like what we're going to see. They're going to see through high school and into Legion and everything.
How different? It might seem minuscule, but how different is it going up an age bracket and the different, feet of the base pass and everything? Is it minuscule, or is it quite a bit different for what you've noticed?
So leading up into this year, before we for sure knew we were going to do the intermediate, because we were kind of like, is this what we want to do or not from last year? Yeah. My big thing was I want consistency for these kids, because a lot of times at 13U, they get bumped around from 54-80 to 60-90, and there's no consistency. And so this year we really tried to play pretty much 90% of our games are 54-80. We had to play a few because of the Liam Med tournament. There's no way we're not playing in that tournament. Yep. And so that was 60-90. And then we played another doubleheader in the same week. So we got the 60-90s out of the way in 1 week. And then it was 54-80 until about a week or so leading up to our regional. And then we played a couple 50-70 games so we could get the kids dialed in, and it worked.
This is the same team, almost identical to the one you coached last year. There was a breath away from Williamsport. What has the familiarity been like for yourself? You know all these kids really well.
Yeah, it helps. And granted, some, that year of growth and change, and, they've gotten stronger and faster. And, it's scary to be closer to them right now at 50 feet away when they're on the, or from 70 feet when they're swinging a bat, and I got to try to dodge out of the way of a baseball once in a while, which is, a feat in itself for me nowadays. But yeah, no, it helps a ton because they know I can kind of read them a little bit, and they kind of know what I'm thinking or how I'm feeling just by how I act or how I look at them once in a while. And we added another young man, Chase, and he's been a great addition to us. And he's fit in well. He's known these kids and played with them throughout the years too. So it's been great. And, now we're just taking that experience from last year and we're building upon it, and the kids are loving it.
Let me rip the Band-Aid off about last year. You made it all the way to the title game. You were a win away. We talked a couple times when you were in Indianapolis. You guys you hadn't lost. How painful was that experience last year of losing in the title game? Yeah,
that was rough. I mean, and the kids will tell you too. I mean, we played the worst probably inning or two of baseball we had in 6 weeks last summer, and that's all it took. And then when we got into the regional, the first 2 or 3 innings of that regional, we played the worst baseball we played in about a month. And then we got things rolling. And so, I think, you learn from your experiences and you build off of them, and here we are, and grin. And they'll tell you too, like, we still haven't played a great game of baseball. We've pitched really well. We've played good defense, not great. We've had our few mistakes, and we have not hit the baseball like we have been all summer. So, and that's kudos to the teams we're playing. They got good pitching, and the teams are no slouches here.
Sorry.
If we could put it all together, we didn't come to just come sightsee. So we're coming to win it all now.
Did you watch Williamsport last year, or you couldn't? Was it too tough?
We didn't watch a ton of it. My son Knox, who was on the team, he was like, I can't do it, Dad. I can't. And then there was a few times where we'd turn it on just to check a team or see how things are going. And we were out to dinner one night, and the South Dakota team was on, and he's like, we got to leave. Like, I can't. And I was like, well, we're already paid for the food. We're going to eat it. So, So, and then he overheard some people talking about it, and he's just like grumbling to himself. And so, I mean, and I know a few of the other kids were in the same boat, and, but it's put a fire under them, and it's driven them this summer.
Well, tell us about what this tournament is like and the competition of getting there and what you've seen. Is it what you thought, better than you thought? And obviously it's gone well. You've won the first 2 games.
Yeah. So on our way here, we had to go through the regional down in Iowa, which was an 11-team bracket and tournament. And so we got through that. We lost the first game, and then we had to go on a 6-game run. So, we took some gambles because we told them we're not here just to participate. We want to win it. And some of those gambles paid off, and the kids showed up. And then to get here, I don't do tons of scouting. It's hard to watch on Game Changer to see how good a kid really is or what, the tendencies, all that stuff. But you kind of pick up on things when you watch kids warm up or, in game, you make some adjustments or whatever. But my thing is I just trust our kids. And so, the teams that are here, they're legit. And, and they're 13. So some of them are going to have a bad game. Some are not, whatever. But there's teams that they hit the ball, and there's teams that they're going to try and just beat you 2-0. And right now we're kind of in between going, all right, we're just going to get through and make the mistakes pay for us.
So has it been your coaching strategy to fall behind in the first 2 games and then rally? Can you tell us about that?
It seems to be the MO with us. We did it all. We pretty much did it all last year too. We get down 2-0 and then we'd have to come back. No, it is not our strategy, but apparently we were comfortable doing that. But we always remind us, we got 6 or 7 innings left. You just chip away, have good at bats, make adjustments. But it's just you gotta kind of cool your emotions. Don't get too high, you don't get too low. So and. I'm guilty of it too. I'll get after them a little bit too much sometimes, but I try to be as calm as I can in the dugout for them, just because, they're riding high and low, and they're trying to, keep that pressure off themselves too.
Hans, speaking of the opposite of calm, is the support in the stands. Can you tell us about the families that have made a really large financial commitment to come support you guys?
Yeah, it's it's a open-ended checkbook right now because you don't know when we're going home, and I keep reminding the kids you better be saying thank you and appreciative to everybody that has made this happen for you, because you're not the only ones that are along for the ride here. And so our parents and people back home, but our parents and grandparents and people who have come out, brothers, sisters, all those, it's phenomenal. And it's a blast. And I got a great group that's supporting us and helping us out. And yesterday, again, we had that day off last year. Now this year, it's yesterday we ended up going down into San Francisco, and the parents got us all down there and, went on a little bay cruise and got to see the sights and stuff. So some stuff that some of these kids have never done or might not do it again. So why not experience that stuff? And it wouldn't be possible without them.
Well, if you win tonight, you're going to have 2 more days off. Have you got plans? What are you going to do if you win tonight?
No, other than having a rough conversation with my wife because she's in Alaska right now.
Oh my gosh.
So other than that, no, I just kind of take one day at a time, and we'll see how things go.
Oh man.
It's one of those things that's you kind of laugh about, but it's oh gosh, it's a good conversation to have. It's just a tough one.
Is it a cruise? Is she on vacation in Alaska?
Yeah, we booked a Alaskan cruise 2 years ago, not knowing what was going on.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so she left yesterday for that. She came out here for a couple days, and then she had to go back and then fly out.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow. Life, right? You just got to shake your head on that.
That's right.
Let me ask you. So tonight you play the host team, Livermore, California, and you were just telling me off air, you guys are the home team on their field tonight. That's got to be unique.
Yeah. We did the coin flip, and then we got we won it, and I was we'll be the home team. And then he looked at it on our own field. I was sorry. So it'll be a little weird for them, but at the same time, it'll be a fun atmosphere because I'm sure there'll be a ton of people from the area watching and cheering on. Even the guys that I went and talked to before the first game, they're oh, we're rooting for you unless you play them. And I was okay. And then now we're playing them. So it'll be a good time though.
I'm interested in the feedback you've had back here. Your game Monday night, I don't think got done till 11:45 Central Time. What have you heard from back in Fargo about what you've done this week?
A lot of people just said, you're killing me on the sleep. You're messing up my routine. And I tell them, well, I'm still off by the 2 hours myself.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's okay. But I was at least you can go sleep in your own bed. I got to still wrangle 13-year-olds after a game and try and feed them and then get them to settle down and go to bed and get focused again for the next day. but yeah, it's been great. But yeah, I know it's taxing on people sleeping.
Hans, I got to ask, this week, I mentioned it before you came on, the week for Fargo baseball. We had the Little League guys in here yesterday. They're on the way to Indiana. Post 2 is getting ready to play this week at the Central Plains Regional. Why is it humming the way it is for Fargo baseball right now in your mind?
Yeah, well, I mean, it all starts with the organization, the guys getting good people to help out and getting, more and more kids involved. But people, I think, are starting to see the success that, the programs have had. So now they want to be more involved, and kids they want to come and have fun, but at the same time, they're like, hey, I want to win. And so it builds upon itself. And if they have a good time on the diamond, then they start competing. And then it just builds from year to year. And then that translates into the high school and then the Legion programs, which you can see is, our Legion programs in Fargo, they're no slouches. And every year they're competing and getting a chance to, in the regionals and maybe even make it to Shelby.
Well, you coach high school baseball, so you see it at that level, where the development you're coaching now, and then you see almost the finished product there. And high school baseball right now, especially on the east side of the state, is holy cow right now.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's exploded. And I mean, and kids put in the time. Yeah. I mean, it's not just, they show up and they got good coaches. Like, they have to put the time in on their own. So, I mean, if you go to the attic or the ball yard or anything like that, there's kids there all the time from 9 years old to 18, and they're swinging and throwing and they're doing stuff all the time. And it's their dedication. It's their passion for the game.
You prepared for more TV time tonight. I'm sure. Have you heard about the amount of camera time you've had over the first couple games?
Well, they do those interviews afterwards, which I absolutely hate. So no offense, Dom. I hate being on camera. I'd rather have kids be on than me. But yeah, if that's what brings notoriety to our kids and our program, so be it. I mean, I don't know if you really want this as the face of the franchise or anything, but I do. I'll do what I got to do for the kids.
Hey, I appreciate you sucking it up for us for today. So this is, again, last thing before we go, this is your third straight late game. What do you do? How are you keeping them entertained between now and 7 o'clock Pacific time?
Yeah, so last night, the night before, we were late. We were walking through a Burger King parking lot or drive-through so we could feed them. We got back so late.
Jeez.
And then, so we got them settled in. It was probably midnight by the time we got them in. And then we had to get up early because we had to go to the city yesterday, excuse me. And then last night I was like, all right, beds, 10 o'clock, 10:30, we're out. Sleep in today. If you missed breakfast, whatever, we're going to go have lunch at a little earlier hour. So it's just trying to manage time and get them to where they need to be. And, I want them to be kids, though. Go jump in the pool. Go do whatever you want, within reason, of course, which I got to remind a couple of them. But overall, they just kind of hunker down. They do some stupid. I mean, the stupid stuff in their rooms. They're playing like little mini baseball game in there, and like, please don't break anything, because if it happens, I have to pay for it, and then I have to talk to your parents to repay me. So if they're watching, hey, they know. But yeah, but they're good. They're having fun, and they just take it easy. And then we watch a bunch of baseball games. We'll either go to the field or we watch them on ESPN Plus here at the hotel.
Have you let your mind go there? If you win tonight, then you're one win away from playing for the whole thing.
Yes and no. I don't, not game wise. Again, I kind of allude back to, if we win, there's that conversation with my wife. But overall, no, I try to take things one game at a time. I know people ask, and I'm just like, we got to get through this next game, because it's not going to be it's not a cupcake.
It's great to catch up. This is like a yearly thing for us. I don't know, next year, if you want to pick another state, we can do this again if you want.
All right.
So
I'll see what I can do.
Congrats on a great start. Good luck tonight. I know you got a lot of people watching back here, and thanks for doing this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, bud. There he is, Hans Anderson, head coach of the Fargo 13U team, the Davies baseball coach as well. He's been the only baseball coach that program has ever had, by the way. They play tonight, 9 o'clock. We'll give you the heads up on that and what to watch as well. On ESPN Plus, the team from Livermore, California, the host team. And the way that the bracket worked, the Livermore team only has played one game, and they threw their best pitcher in that first game. The Fargo team has played twice, and as Hans mentioned, with the day off yesterday. If they win tonight, they have 2 days off. They wouldn't play till Saturday, and that's the semis. Then we're a win away from playing for the whole thing. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that. Another late night for people here that are following what's going on with Fargo Youth Baseball. Good stuff there. Appreciate his time. All right, we'll break. Got a few emails to get to. Luke Rustad will join us in about 15 minutes' time as well with Post 2 and their upcoming week at the Central Plains Regional. Back on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Hans Anderson for joining us from California. Looking forward to watching what happens tonight with those kids out there. Let's see. I got a couple of emails in. This is going back to our topic in the first hour. Dom, that's crazy. April the 3rd is way too late for basketball. St. Thomas would definitely have been better than the Pavilion with its temporary lines and non-functioning shot clock horns. I've covered at least 3 or 4 separate teams playing at the Pavilion. Ada Borup girls, when they were routinely going to state, were over there a couple of times. I want to say Detroit Lakes when the girls made it there, and this is 15 years ago. And I know they've updated the Pavilion since. It always felt like we have to play over here. Like, you want to play at Williams Arena, but we don't have enough. And this is when the tournament was still a 4-day deal. A 3-day deal. Now they made it 4 because they went to Wednesdays. Last time, it's been a little bit since I've been down there to cover it. They used to only do 3, and you had to split it, and there were games at Target Center. It was a you-know-what show. But the Pavilion always felt like you were the afterthought. You were not on the main court. Dom, it's time to move both to the Lee and Penny Arena at St. Thomas. St. Thomas looks like a perfect opportunity to step in and showcase their new facilities. Yeah, I just don't know. Is it big enough for when you have Wayzata and Maple Grove play in the title game? Because I can tell you when it was Minnetonka and Wayzata, whatever year that was, 2024, March of 24, because Andy Stefanowicz and Jackson McAndrew were playing against each other. Obviously, Stefanowicz is now here. McAndrew's a star at Creighton. That, from what Rob Stefanowicz told me, and if I'm wrong, he'll email me because he watches the show regularly, that the entire lower bowl was full and the upper tank was full as well at Williams Arena for that game. So that ain't going to work at St. Thomas. I've only been in the bowl area at the new arena at St. Thomas, and it's nice. I don't know if it would work for what they would hope if you have a matchup like that. Or even in the 3A level, if you've got Totino and De La Salle, that's a huge game. That gets a lot of people to come to it. And I think they still want to play. They were gonna make every possible avenue to play at Williams Arena. That just is, as much as people like Target Center, I think speaking to more and more recruits over the last handful of years that have had a chance to play, like, yeah, Williams Arena is awesome. We want to play there. Rather than, say, Target Center. I thought that would have been the ultimate because that's where the Timberwolves play. But I think there's some, as much as I rag on Williams Arena, that it needs some TLC, and we think the Dome needs some TLC, which it does. Williams Arena does as well. I think there's still some allure of getting a chance to play there. And when you watch the games, and I'm a sucker for it. I love watching the broadcasts and of the state basketball tournaments. A, if we have a team there, obviously, but B, just I like to see the level of basketball being played down there. It just looks cool. As much as it needs some improvements, it's still a big deal down there. So just a handful of the responses we got when that came out yesterday. Also yesterday, the USA Today coaches poll is out. This is another thing we never used to cover before, but we don't care about the FCS one anymore. We do, but don't. Ohio State is number 1. Oregon comes in at 2. If you're looking for any group of 6 schools on here, keep looking. Right? You've got, especially at the back end, you got Utah, Iowa, Clemson, Houston, and Mizzou. Now, more importantly is who was receiving votes in the USA Today coaches poll. because this is who you should know about. Who's receiving votes in the poll? Okay, well, who's the first group of 6 school in there? Boise State. Okay, so they consider Boise State the top G6 team this year. After that, UNLV. Buys are going to play UNLV. After that, next one is Memphis, who plays UNLV in 24 days. I'm telling you, I'm watching that game right after the Bison game is done. Who's next? James Madison. Who's after that? New Mexico. The Bison play them. Western Michigan, Navy, San Diego State, and then also getting a vote, Jacksonville State and Hawaii, who are 2 other Bison opponents that are also getting votes for the top 25. So 4 opponents that North Dakota State will see this season are in the others receiving votes category. And it stands to reason that if NDSU wins that game against Jacksonville State to start the year, then the first poll that comes out after that, you're going to see NDSU receiving votes, I would think. But again, that should remind everybody that the strength of schedule is definitely different. Definitely cranked up from what we've been used to. And even the games that maybe you're overlooking, whether it's UTEP or Nevada or Northern Illinois, Wyoming is just going to be, San Jose State are just going to be harder. They just will be than what we've been used to. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. 24 days from today, we get game number 1. All right, let's break. We come back. Bottom of the hour break here. Luke Rustad will join us, Fargo Post 2 head coach, after a thrilling state championship win. Now they're off to Mandan for the Central Plains Regional. That's coming up. We come back.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here on a busy moving Wednesday show. Reminder, tomorrow we'll check in on the first high school football practice in North Dakota, which is going on at midnight Mountain, 1 a.m. Central in Beach. That's coming up on the show tomorrow. Our next guest is getting out of the start of football practice again. His day job is getting in the way. Fargo Post 2 won a 30th State Legion Championship on Saturday. We showed it to you on Monday. The thrilling win over West Fargo to send them on to the Central Plains Regional. A friend of our program, Luke Rustad, joins us before hopping on the bus to Mandan to get ready for the Central Plains Regional getting going tomorrow. You know, I had Mattern in here yesterday. I should have given you like a note, like, hey, you're going to miss out again.
No, I listened to that interview too. I just was already thinking about I'm getting the emails and, hey, do you have plans for your defensive backs? The nice part is I have a Coach Isendorf, if anyone doesn't know him, he's actually helping me with my position group, and so I'm going to communicate with him. I'm assuming he knows probably more than me, but he's coached a lot of coached at a higher level football and put in a lot of time on that, but he and I will be working together, so I know it's in good hands.
Well, this has become tradition. You want to be missing the start of fall camp because that means you're playing well into August again.
Well, exactly. I mean, this is what our program strives for, and I don't feel too bad about it. Now the next goal is to try and miss some school.
Let's go back to Saturday. We were visiting off air about it. You knew, I think all of us, even when we saw West Fargo lose earlier in the tournament, that somehow, some way, you guys are going to play for the whole thing. When you have a winner-take-all, a second game, even with a team that's experienced as yours are, was there nerves for yourself for that second game that came up Saturday?
Honestly, Dom, I'm always nervous before every game. So I get the second game, though, once you're in the battle and you're down in the dugout, those nerves kind of go away. And You're just worried about managing the game and not overcoaching or making sure you coach the right things. And game two came. My job for me was just to make sure our team is focused on moving past what just happened and understanding that we still have an opportunity in front of us. And I just told the guys, we play doubleheaders every day, all the time. So, and we haven't been swept this year. So let's just make sure that this is just game two of a doubleheader. We're going to go out and let's try and get it done.
Tell me about the bottom of the seventh and how that played out, and especially have the two guys that you had up deliver the kind of hits that they did.
Yeah, it's funny. I got a little worried. The nice part was Tate Barnacle leads off with the double, which awesome right away because now I don't have to think about bunting. And then immediately they have a wild pitch, and we move up to third base.
Yep.
And then so Wyatt comes up, and I told Wyatt, because I know the infield's got to be up in this instance, and I said, hey, I'm not giving you a suicide squeeze here. We're winning this game. All right? I said, I need you swinging away. And then they make an unbelievable diving catch at third base, and I'm like, maybe I'm going to have to think about this now. I don't know. But I didn't want to give anybody a freebie out when we're trying. My goal wasn't to tie the game. I want to win the game. And just the way the game was going, every time we tied it, they took the lead back. And it's just like, this is the chance we have. This is the way we got to walk it off. So then we have Caden up after that, and he immediately put a single into left field. And then we got fortunate with an error at shortstop that could have been an inning double play, but it wasn't. And then we get a guy, Joyce hits a deep fly ball, and Caden's able to tag up, get to third to set the stage for Carson Sheik. And I mean, Carson has been in our program for 4 years. Having him I knew the moment wasn't too big for him. You could look at with Carson, you throw stats out the window. He's a competitor. That kid has more confidence than anybody on our team in himself. I'm not worried about but he only hits this. Yeah, well, I guarantee you I can see 400 hitters struggle in a situation. This kid's not struggling in a big moment. He just isn't. That's just how he's built. And he came up and obviously delivered a base hit and sent us to the regionals.
Was that the perfect guy, Luke, to have up at the plate, Carson Sheik, in that moment in your mind?
Well, especially at that spot in the order, yes. He's our seven hitter. We're getting into the 8-9 area, and he's I knew he'd put together a good at bat. He'll have his at bats where he struggles during the year at times, but I think he's just trying to hit a home run sometimes. And that time I knew when he just is like, all right, goes into mode where we need a single, and he kind of changes how he addresses the pitcher, addresses each pitch, and he did it that way and found the one he liked and put into the outfield.
So when the game ends, do you find your way to the dog pile? Are you shaking hands? What happened? Where were you at the end of the game?
I was going to hug my coaches.
Yeah.
I ran over to first base and got over there as quick as possible and hugged Coach Sanders and Coach Glinstead, and then after that I went and found Carson Sheik, tried to give him a hug, and then just made sure I found each of my players after that. But yeah, right away I think I jumped chest bump sprinting over from third all the way to first base, but it was pretty awesome.
It doesn't seem like a long time, but 3 years is for Post 2. What did this state championship mean to you personally?
It meant a lot because last year we went 0-2 at the state tournament, and I'd never had that happen to me before. And you start to reflect on things in your life that maybe weren't going well outside of baseball, and is that impacting my ability to prepare kids to coach or play baseball or win? And then, did we push them hard enough? All those little things. And, we battled some injuries and stuff, and those things pop up. But I think, honestly, it just is more special for the sole fact that what happened last year and, just things, personal things in my life that I was going through, and then to find a way to get this done this year just kind of vindicated that we're doing things correctly.
All right, so now it's on to the Central Plains Regional and now to Mandan. You told me you're hopping on the bus here pretty much after we wrap up our interview. What do you know about the 5 other teams you're going to see out in Mandan later this week?
Well, I know they're unbelievable programs traditionally. I mean, start with the team we're playing first, Lincoln East. I mean, they're the defending region champs. They've been to a few World Series now, played in national title games. We played them earlier this summer. It was, let's just say, an electric atmosphere down in Lincoln the first time we played them. Hopefully we can temper that down just a little bit more this time and focus more on playing, but it was pretty electric. They're a good baseball team, well coached. You got Rapid City, obviously. I mean, they're a blue blood of Legion baseball. Unbelievable. You have Excelsior out of the cities, who, when we went in 2019, that's who we had to defeat to go to the World Series. I mean, and us, Mandan, and then I don't know a lot about Dubuque, Iowa. I do know they've won that region before.
Okay.
They do Legion baseball a little bit differently. High school's kind of more of a focus in Iowa than Legion, how they play it. So I don't know a lot about their team. We're going to have to find out more about them. But obviously the field is pretty stacked. And, Mandan, the host team, I think they were the regular season 3 seed in our conference. I know the state wasn't how they wanted it to be, but they're a good baseball team and they're well coached and they can beat anybody in that tournament as well.
I got to ask, we had Hans Anderson on before you. You know Hans obviously from Davies and what he's doing with the Fargo 13U out in California. The Little Leaguers just left yesterday. You guys are still playing. Why is Fargo baseball humming the way it is right now, in your opinion?
I've always thought Fargo baseball is special. I know it's just getting more attention, I think, now at the youth levels, especially since they've gone Little League and that. But, I've had a lot of quality players come through this program over the years, and they all started in some form, Fargo Babe Ruth, Fargo Little League, whatever it might have been called back then. And, the community has always had very strong baseball. I just think they're getting a lot more notoriety now. And there's a lot of different levels and tournaments out there for it, and they've kind of changed that stuff up. But I just think, it's a baseball community. And I try to tell kids that want to go basketball or, coach, I want to focus on this or that. It's like, man, you look at the history of baseball, you want to play at the next level of anything, we can send you to a lot of different places, a lot of different areas of the country. A lot of people don't realize, Adam Leininger is going to Troy, Alabama. He's just in our program, and Troy was in the College World Series this last year. And that's just one guy. Charlie Kalbrenner is going to Dallas Baptist next year. So, and those are recent guys. I just had Cole Hage at Kentucky, and I apologize if I'm forgetting other guys. It's just going off the cuff. But, we've had guys playing big-time ball here in the area for a long time. West Fargo has as well, and I just think that it's a baseball community for some reason, and I think we're fortunate in this town that we have a lot of good coaches, and they develop those kids.
I want to single one guy out here. You faced Caden Nelson. How nice is it to have him on your team now after having to face him in high school ball?
Well, it is nice. And for people that don't know, Caden played pretty much the month of June for us and threw 6 innings. He had an injury at practice. Got shut down up until probably, I think his first games back were our last 2 regular season games against 400. So we didn't have him for the entire month of July, pretty much for a month. And I think he's still rounding back into form. So he's getting beating himself up for not getting hits. I'm like, Caden, this game's not easy, man. It's hard. I know he can make it look easy.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a good baseball player, but he's a great kid, a hard worker. Obviously a lot of talent, but he's done that because he puts in the time and the effort, and it's fun to coach him and fun to be around him.
What do you have planned for the bus? Do you have a ton of things to do? Do you zone out, or what's for you on the bus trip out to Mandan?
I just try and make sure that nobody does anything too stupid in the back of the bus, right? Or I sit way front so I can pretend that I didn't know what happened. I'm just kidding around, but I'll be working on football probably on the way the way down there this year. So I'm going to be putting together some practice plans, things like that on the bus, and looking at the schedule for the couple of days that I could be gone, and then reevaluate from there.
Well, I believe Shanley plays its first game 3 weeks from tomorrow. So, I remember when you made it the World Series the last time that right off of that you went right to football, a game, right?
Yeah, I think we're at least the first practice in a game. So, I did that right away, but they were asking, what are you doing here? I'm like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. I'd just be sitting at home anyway. It's not a big deal.
It's great to see you, bud. Safe travels out to Mandan. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk soon, all right?
Sounds good. Thanks.
There he is, Luke Rustad, head coach of Fargo Post 2. They match up starting tomorrow. They play out in Mandan, that great baseball field out there. They've got Lincoln, as Luke mentioned. They met up earlier this year down at the College World Series, which that is an electric tournament down there. That's the game tomorrow at 1:30. There are 6 teams now. They've shrunk this down from 8 to 6. So Rapid City's there, as Luke mentioned, Dubuque, Lincoln, Nebraska, Excelsior, Minnesota, and obviously Mandan is the hosts, and we'll be keeping our eyes on that. Part of a monstrous sports weekend that is suddenly unfolding in front of us with we got our first NFL preseason game tomorrow night. High school football practice is going. It's suddenly It's here after there might have been a couple of dead weeks, but, man, it is back humming and going, and can't wait. And for the baseball in the area, we gravitate towards football, and rightfully so. Football is the most popular sport in our area by a long shot. But then you could have a really, really good debate on the amount of baseball players that have been produced out of this area that are doing things at the highest levels. You're going to scan, he mentioned just a couple guys now, you're going to scan the college baseball season next year. You're going to have multiple guys pitch in the SEC, multiple in the Missouri Valley. Obviously, the Summit League goes without saying. Couple in the ACC. I mean, what are we talking here? I mean, that's big-time stuff, and all out of here. It's really, really – and we're not done. There's still some more you're going to see in the next couple years that are coming. If you watched our Class A or Class B baseball tournament coverage from the end of May, there are names you're going to need to know ASAP that are going to be big-time names in the not-too-distant future, if they're not already. All right, we'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things, get you ready for this Sports Wednesday that's on tap. Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. We'll wrap up after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Wednesday morning. Back with you tomorrow. Opening day of North Dakota High School football practice. We'll check in on that. We'll also have highlights of the Twins Game 2 with their series with the Royals. Also, the Fargo 13U team playing late tonight. So if you don't stay up late, we'll recap it for you bright and early on our show tomorrow. Looking forward to that. A couple of newsy things that have happened since we've been on the air we haven't had time to get to. From the golf world, those that have been following this story, Live Golf headline secures funding to keep league alive. That's according to CEO Scott O'Neill. He says that the tour has secured funding from an outside investor that will keep the circuit alive beyond this season. O'Neill made the announcement Wednesday at Trump National Golf Course in Bedminster, New Jersey, the site of this week's tournament, which tees off tomorrow. O'Neill didn't identify the investor or how much money will be injected into the league. Live Golf said it hopes to finalize terms in the coming weeks and close the transaction in September. Of course, that's been the hot topic this entire summer, is that Live was done, was imploding. They ran out of money. The Saudis had pulled out, seeing this was not a winning monetary venture, which I think we all called 5 years ago when this first came about. O'Neill was seeking $250 to $300 million to keep the league alive after the Saudis pulled out in May. The Saudis reportedly spent more than $5 billion funding the league over the past 5 years. Think about that, $5 billion over the last 5. Apparently it's not dead yet, the old Monty Python line. Not quite dead yet. ESPN also, we're in list season, has today college football schedule superlatives for 2026. And just scrolling through this, the toughest overall group of 6 schedule, they say Western Kentucky has that. Western Kentucky, by the way, goes to Georgia, goes to Indiana, plays Nevada. I'm not sure how difficult that game is going to be. We'll see. Other FCS game is Mercyhurst. Easiest group of 6 schedule is Liberty. And this last one, I'll shout this out. Easiest Power 4 non-conference schedule, Nebraska. Nebraska's on there with North Texas. Oh, they got Ohio, Bowling Green, and UND on the schedule for Nebraska. Let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. Somebody upstairs might be interested in that since they made a bet on Nebraska's win total this season. All right, Twins and Royals coming up tonight, 6:30 on Twins TV. We'll see if they can snap that 3-game losing skid. We mentioned the Fargo 13U team plays tonight, 9 o'clock. It's on ESPN Plus as they take on the team from California. And this afternoon, nothing, again, baseball in the middle of the day. Happen every day. Dodgers-Cubs at 1:20 on MLB TV. Cubs are going for the sweep of the Dodgers. They beat Scooble last night. Our thanks to Luke Rustad, to Hans Anderson for joining us, along with Reis Kessel and Trafton. Missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. Everybody enjoy your Wednesday. Get out there. It's a beautiful day. Thanks so much for making us part of it. We'll see you back here tomorrow.